Hello everyone! My name is Dekkan, and this is the first in a series of tutorials I've developed to teach you how to use Redstone in Minecraft. This is the series called Dekkan's Details, and this is episode 1, Redstone 0.001. And I'm sure you're wondering why it's 001, because that sounds odd, doesn't it? But it's because I want to address one thing that you need to address yourself before we even get started with Redstone itself. We need to talk about ticks per second. Well, I mean, we will get there to talk about ticks per second. But first I want to address your concern that, whoa, Redstone's too confusing, I can't do this. Well, got news for you. It's really not as confusing as you think it is. Look at this giant build behind me. Lot of redstone involved in this thing. This is my concrete factory, by the way. And it seems crazy, but it really isn't. Because redstone is nothing but a bunch of little bits all shoved together to make one big machine. And it's really not that complicated to learn once you know how they work. So our goal, teach you how it works. But first, ticks per second. It's kind of a scary word, isn't it? Ticks, 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 ticks. It's like that crocodile in Peter Pan that swallowed the clock from Captain Hook, right? Tick, 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 tick. Well, that's nothing that scary. I'll be honest. Ticks per second is just what helps you determine how fast your redstone works. Server runs at X amount of ticks per second, which basically tells the computer how many operations it does per second. Standard ticks per second should be 20. That's pretty normal. Single player, 20. Server, 20. Pretty straightforward. But you don't always get 20 ticks per second. So, how do we determine whether we're running 20 ticks per second? Very simply, in single player, hit Alt F3. Apparently I'm having issues hitting Alt F3 here. There we go. Alt F3. And down on this side over here, that's your frames per second. That's not what we're looking at. Over here, this other side over here, that's your ticks per second. That's what we want you to see. You can see right now that I'm running a stable 20 ticks per second, which shows that any redstone device that I build will run, hopefully, without any incident, because it's running stable. Now, this isn't the same always with servers. Servers have a bunch of other things that can affect it, but most particularly, servers don't always have the ability to run at 20 ticks per second. Because sometimes the server itself might just have not enough memory. Might just have too many other resource issues. But that's not a big deal, right? Wrong. You want to make sure that you run 20 ticks per second, because your machine, if it runs below 20 ticks, is going to be slow. So the output, or whatever you have it doing, might not work in the time frame you were planning on having it work. And if you get too many ticks per second, things go zoom. And if they go zoom, you may have problems trying to have things work properly because they go too fast and breaks the timing on things, and the entire thing goes kaput. That's not good either, is it? So, bunch of issues with ticks per second on single player or the server. Oh, by the way, if you're playing on DragonBorn SMP, you have the ability to check on ticks per second. Let me throw you up a screenshot. Alright, take a look at this. The top bar there shows you how many ticks per second we're running. We're running at 20 ticks per second. Isn't that great? I think so. Now the command to get that up on your screen is \TPS bar. All one word. And that will allow you to see this bar and show you how many ticks per second. Now while we're here looking at ticks per second, Let me also tell you, there's another thing up on that bar showed MSPT, and that means milliseconds per tick. So while we want our ticks per second to stay steady at 20, we don't want to see our milliseconds per tick to go above 50. Because if we do, we might have some trouble. Okay, the other thing you can also use to find out ticks per second on DragonBorn SMP is the command \TPS, which will actually put your ticks per second in your text box on the bottom left corner. Okay, getting back to where we were at. Ticks per second is not something you usually have a whole lot of control over. Server settings, server other issues with number of players, number of mobs, all within ticking distance, probably not something you really have a whole lot of control over. But the one thing you do have control over is how many of your complicated redstone devices you put in the ticking range. You want to make sure you're not running too many redstone machines in that area, because that can cause you to lag. And lag brings down the ticks per second. Who knew? Okay, enough about ticks per second. No more scary ticks. I got ticks. No. I got ticks. They're biting my feet. What can I say? Okay. Beyond the ticks per second, we can talk about redstone. I told you we weren't going to do a whole lot of talking about redstone. But I want to introduce you to redstone, because redstone's fun. This here, big machine, might not look like a whole lot of fun, but really, it's a lot more fun than you think it is. Redstone is fun. So, in order to determine how much fun, let's go down there. Oh, see all those things down there? All those things? They're all related to redstone. Here we go. Let's go down. So, you can see at this end, we got things like redstone dust, redstone torches, repeaters, comparators, switches, and buttons, and pressure plate. Oh, awesome stuff. Totally. Pistons, and dispensers, droppers, and hoppers, and music blocks, and sound blocks, and observers, and compost bins, rails, and doors, and TNT. Did I say TNT? TNT. I mean, all kinds of things that can interact with redstone. So, you may be saying to yourself, hey, that might be something interesting. I'll build something with that. I didn't think I would ever do that, but maybe I will. Because all of these things can allow you to build some cool, interesting, and even useful things in Minecraft. Okay. Let me thank you for watching. And this was the first video. Wait until the second one. Second one, Redstone 101. Sounds good, doesn't it? We'll be covering redstone dust, redstone torches, and a whole bunch of other wonderful basic sources of redstone signals. Okay. This is the way it goes. We're going to have a lot of fun learning redstone. So feel free to join me again, folks. Redstone, redstone, redstone.